it's not uncommon to be in a situation like this where you have an HTTP request, it's in repeater, there is just a mess of parameters, and we would like to cut down on the clutter and ask the question, what are the essential elements to produce this exact same response, right? What are the key components that are required to produce this output from the application? And one way we could approach this is by removing parameters one by one, but that's going to be quite time consuming. So instead, let's make use of an extension. There is an extension already available. You can install it from the Burp App Store, as I've done here. It's called Request Minimizer. So that's installed, and we can go back into Repeater, and I can right-click in the request now and go to Extensions, Request Minimizer, and it gives us two options. We can minimize this request in the current tab, or we can do it in a new tab. So I'm going to click Minimize in a new tab, and what that is going to do is it's going to do that tedious work for us, and it's going to start manipulating the parameters in order to determine which ones are actually essential to produce the exact same output that we're getting from the application here. And while that's computing, let me mention why you might want to keep this original request. So there it goes, it's completed. And you can see that the request has been substantially simplified, and we don't actually require very much to send to the application to get that same response. So you might think, well, we can probably just discard a lot of these parameters and not even think about it. But just because one of these parameters, in this case, is not essential to produce the same output, does not mean that it's not being consumed by the application in some way. So, for example, one of these could be logged by a vulnerable logging library like log4j, for example, and it could still be vulnerable to an injection attack of some sort. So you don't want to necessarily minimize every request and get rid of the what appear to be completely unnecessary parameters, but it can be very helpful in minimizing and simplifying the core elements to produce the output that you're looking at in standard workflows. So I do recommend giving that a try to make your life a little bit easier when dealing with some unwieldy requests.